Hey guys, what is happening, and welcome to this video. So I am here on Rathtrevor Beach in Parksville, Vancouver Island, and I'm here to talk to you about inflation. It is something that we've seen in the news. It has just come out. It was released yesterday. I'm not sure when this video is going to be posted, but it really doesn't matter as long as this video is posted before the next inflation release. But the thing is, inflation is rising rapidly, and my target rate of inflation ending the year around 5%, it's still set for that, and I'm maintaining that. And the funny thing is, guys, inflation has just been soaring, and you may have read the headline inflation and been like, geez, that is a lot. But you don't understand the half of it, because the problem with inflation is half of it isn't even reported. That is one thing that people don't realize. People look at the headline inflation and they think, gosh, that's a lot. I mean, that's effectively the amount your cash was eroded by if it was just sitting in a bank account right now. Now, the thing is, this is a big catalyst for the housing market, because inflation affects interest rates, and we've already seen, we already saw the Bank of Canada change its tone a little, should I say, on interest rates. I just stepped in some water and that was absolutely freezing. But they changed their tone on interest rates, and let me explain how. Basically, what happened was, obviously, they were tapering, and they were on set to actually continue tapering in October from the quantitative easing, but they stopped and all of a sudden said something which was a little bit strange. I thought that we're going to see interest rate hikes before we see tapering, continuation of tapering, which kind of sounds like me. The Bank of Canada is paving the way that we could have an inflation scare, and they could be raising rates quite rapidly, quicker than anybody anticipated. And that is what I've thought is going to happen. I'm going to list an interesting article below, which is from Canadian Mortgage Association of Brokers or whatever. They sometimes put out some decent stuff, and this was pretty decent. It was a fairly balanced article on the threats that Canada has right now to the housing market. Just remember, guys, the whole economy in Canada is dependent on housing. So if housing goes down, which it will go down, then the whole economy, the wheels are going to come off. You're going to see a lot of unemployment and things like that, which are going to make a bad situation even worse. This is why the US never went back to an economy that was so dependent on housing. This is why Canada has been warned and warned and warned that it's in a bubble. But people fail to identify or listen to the warning signals that things are ending and that things are starting to run their course. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, you can think whatever you want to think. This is a free country at the moment, it is anyway. The fact is that the housing market has been in a dire state for the past 5 years nearly. Fact is, guys, you may not realize this, but the housing bubble nearly burst in 2017. But now we're in a place where housing is even more dependent on the economy. The whole COVID recovery that we've seen has been entirely false. It's been completely fake, because it's just been housing. Housing does help certain sectors, but it's a non-productive asset, because you have a lot of money, a lot of liquid cash going into something that you cannot just spend that money into the economy. It's just a house. The other thing that I want to highlight, and I found very interesting, was the fact that Realtor registrations surged during the past 3 to 4 months. And this happened just before the 2008 crash in the US, where Realtor registrations were just rising rapidly, because quite frankly, anybody can sell a house as long as you have the know-how, a little bit of know-how. But anybody can sell a house. It's not a job that you have to have any skill or finesse during a bull market. Now, having said that, to survive a real estate market on a downturn is a different thing entirely. And that is why you should always search for a realtor if you can when housing markets are on a downturn, because quite frankly, you'll find all the good realtors then. So you're probably thinking, what's going to happen now? Inflation is so high. We just saw numbers 100% higher than they expected for inflation. They were expecting inflation was going to be 0.1%. It was 0.2%. And that may not sound like a lot, but for August numbers, that is a huge amount. It's the highest since 2015, which was 6 years ago. And when you compound that over the year, the amount inflation has ran is just ridiculous. We are way above the Bank of Canada's targets. It's obviously not transitory because it's been persisting so long now. The central banks are losing their credibility by saying that inflation is transitory. And of course, they'll probably change what they're saying and go, yes, it's not transitory. It's going to persist a little longer, but we already heard what they said before. So the fact is we know that. But anyway, guys, during an inflationary environment, you want to be investing in assets that do well during inflationary environments. Silver, gold, if you know financial markets, and by the way, I'm not a financial advisor, then cryptocurrency. But you have to just be smart with your money, because your cash is declining. A lot of sheep are shoving their money into housing. They think that's a good investment during a inflationary environment, and when an inflation scare happens, which I think is crazy. Just ask yourself one question. If an inflation scare happens and we have like a hyperinflation scare, do you think people are going to be rushing around trying to buy homes during that time? I don't freaking think so. And I think a lot of people will be scared and selling their homes because they'll think, holy, if this carries on, we're not going to be able to afford our home in a couple of weeks because we overpaid for it. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. You know, inflation is definitely something to keep an eye on. It's one of the swords which has been drawn on the housing market, and it's one of the biggest catalysts for the housing market, just like it was the biggest catalyst for the recovery of the housing market. Another thing to watch is GDP, job numbers, unemployment, things like that. They also have a direct effect on the housing market. So watch those numbers. And we're already starting to see the shift from people moving from the suburbs back into the city, and I'm going to talk about that more in another video. But anyway, guys, from here in beautiful Parksville on this Thursday morning, I wish you the best of the rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Peace and love as always. Bye bye.